All right. Thank you for listening to this interview with Deonna Purrazzo. This is Charlie and Cris from Two Heels and a Face Wrestling Podcast in Chicago. We're recording this audio for Diva-Dirt.com, and we are on the line with Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna just got back from the UK, I believe. How are you doing, Deonna?
I'm good. How are you guys?
What were you doing over there in the UK? Can you tell us? Was it some matches? Was it a little bit of training? Was it both?
Yeah, it was a little bit of business and pleasure. I actually flew over just a few days before New Year's, just to spend New Year's there. And from there, Marty and I flew to Tokyo for Wrestle Kingdom. And then I flew back to London on the 5th of January for Rev Pro. And I did 2 shows over there for their Women's Championship tournament.
Right, nice. So sounds like you got a good mix of things, and you were able to watch Wrestle Kingdom. Were you there in the Tokyo Dome?
Yeah, I was there at the Tokyo Dome.
Great, yeah, fantastic show. So we have some questions here, and we're just gonna kind of touch on your 2017 and kind of the past year that you've had, and then get into things to look forward to and some goals for 2018 as well. I know from listening to a lot of interviews with you, Deonna, the kind of the running theme is at a young age, you've had just so much success. And since you're at a young age, I'm sure there's still tons of things, and always will be, things that you're picking up and learning. So our first question would be, off the top of your head, this the biggest lesson that you've learned in 2017 in your career?
I guess the biggest lesson that maybe I've learned is that, failure is okay. And to accept things you can't change. I had a few, there was 1 or 2 things that didn't go my way or didn't go as expected, but, it's how you bounce back from those things, and it's what you could do after them that really defines you. So, yeah, I would say the biggest lesson that I learned that, just go with the flow, and it's going to be okay.
Right. I think that's a great attitude to have. Would you say that attitude has contributed to you having what is a good amount of success at such a young age? Is there any one thing you can kind of point on that has given you an edge at this early stage in your career, or is it just kind of a go with the flow attitude that you have?
I've always tried to have a kind of just, it is what it is attitude. But right. In wrestling, it's hard because you're promised things, or you're told things, and things change last minute, and you get your hopes up, and you expect those things to happen, and they don't, and it's sometimes a hard pill to swallow. But I think my biggest asset, not even in 2017, but as a whole in the last 5 years I've been wrestling, is just having Damian Adams and Team Adams to fall back on, and having a home base. No matter, I got home from England last night, 4 o'clock, got picked up at the airport, and I was at training last night. So just to have a home and kind of people that ground you and bring you back down to earth, and people you can really depend on, I think has always been my asset. Damian is such an amazing trainer and an amazing person, and he's really set me up to do a lot of the things I've done fast in my career, but also do them well. So I think really just Team Adams is probably my number one biggest asset.
Right.
How did you end up training there with Team Adams?
So way back when, it wasn't Team Adams. It was called D2W, Professional Wrestling Academy. And it was a place that I had found 20 minutes from where I grew up. And I drove by the American Legion that they run shows at one day on my way to college. And I was kind of I've never really been to an indie show. I kind of knew what indie wrestling was, but not really. I'd like to go see this because it had a big sign that said professional wrestling. And I just kind of made a mental note of D2W. And that night when I got home, I Googled it, and I saw that they had a website that said Academy. And Damian Adams was one of the trainers. I didn't know who he was, but it had a little rundown of what he did and what the owner did. And Sean Bennett was one of the trainers there. And it was just the closest thing to me. So I went there, and that's where I started training at the end of 2012. And Damian and I just kind of like stuck together through leaving GCW and creating Team Adams, and we've just kind of come into a little academy of our own.
Right. Yes, it's good to surround yourself with good people. And speaking of indie wrestling, a lot of what Cris and I have seen of you live has been with Rise and Shimmer, with us being local to Chicago. Can you talk about your experiences working with those two companies?
Yeah, Shimmer is obviously something every women's wrestler should want to do. So I had never had the opportunity to do it prior to Rise kind of coming about. And Kevin Harvey had messaged me on Twitter and just like, hey, I want to reach out. If I could give you a call one day, I want to talk some business. And we kind of just formed a relationship from there. And he was going to bring me in for one of I think it was Rise 3.
Okay.
And he had this whole idea. And he said, well, I'm going to fly you in, but, it's Shimmer weekend too. So Dave said he'll use you as well. So I was kind of like, oh, it's 2 for 1. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was just really excited to kind of be around all of those great minds, and I got to wrestle Shirley and Melissa and feedback from Madison Eagles, and just really be around such positive women's wrestling was a really cool experience for me, and I absolutely love both Rise and Shimmer so much.
Great. And I have a note here about the Women of Honor tournament for their championship title that they're introducing. I believe you're in that tournament, correct?
I will be. I'm not announced yet, but I will be.
Okay. And do you know when and I just haven't found a ton of information about it online yet, and maybe I'm not supposed to yet. Do you know when or around when your first round match will be?
I don't know when my first round match will be, but I do know the first round matches start next Saturday in Nashville, January 20th, and it'll be Mandy Leon versus Madison Rain, as well as Karen Q versus Brandy Rhodes. And the third match will be Kelly Klein versus Jessie Bonesaw Brooks. So those will be the first 3 taped matches for the tournament. And then I would imagine the next rounds will be taped. We have a show in Concord, North Carolina, in February. So I imagine the next 3 will be taped then.
Great. And I'm sure you're excited about the tournament. How do you feel about them introducing the title?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's been a whirlwind of emotions the last month. Having everyone so hyped about it, and seeing everyone interested about it on Twitter, and it's been really cool because Ring of Honor literally took a chance on me. I didn't come from the dojo. I was just some indie girl with a little bit of buzz because she worked some extra spots for WWE. And luckily in that time, I had formed a friendship with Mandy. And, she trained at the dojo, and she had been to the Ring of Honor shows, and she was doing, commentary and backstage interviews and stuff. And she was just begging for a chance. And, luckily, her and I's friendship, we work well together, and they asked me to come into the dojo and train a bit. And that at the time was such a unique thing because the Ring of Honor dojo notoriously doesn't allow outsiders. So for them to literally take this chance on me and be like, hey, we want you to be a part of this, is really cool to look back upon, because now we're almost 3 years later and we're going to crown the first ever Women of Honor champion. This was never supposed to happen. So the fact that it is happening is just a really accomplishing feeling.
Nice. Absolutely. Congrats. And we'll be looking out for your performances there on those matches, and hopefully you make it all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
So in your spare time, do you watch any type of wrestling?
Yeah,
just for fun, or just or do you go back? Do you watch any current stuff or stuff from back in the day to get some inspiration? What kind of stuff do you watch?
A little bit of both, I'd say. I do like to, if I'm home and Raw's on or SmackDown's on, just kind of flick it on and see what's going on and what the women are doing and stuff like that. But I do watch a lot of just old school stuff. I'm a big Chris Jericho and Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit fan. Just great stuff in WCW and That's primarily what I watch, but I do watch a lot of like Mr. Perfect and Tito Sanchez, stuff like that back from old WWF, and just try to, that's the style of wrestling that I'm trained in, and I just really love to get inspiration and try to pick out certain things that you don't see today, because what's old is new, and you just want to try to reinterpret it in a new way.
So, since you mentioned you do catch some WWE, once in a while, and I don't know if you're aware of the Mixed Match Challenge, which is the I guess WWE's attempt to intergender, like at least trying to touch that area of wrestling. So, what's your feel on that? Like, what are your thoughts on that Mixed Match Challenge? And if you were to be in that place, like, who would you like to be paired up with?
Yeah, I actually just right before I called you guys saw Natalya teaming with Shinsuke Nakamura, and I think it's really cool because it gives fans these dream matches and dream teams that you never thought could be possible, and now they're possible. So it's a real cool fantasy thing. I think what maybe the misconception is I'm sure it's not intergender. I'm sure the men aren't wrestling with the women. I'm sure it's just, a mixed tag team match. The rules are that the male tags in, the other male has to come in, and vice versa. So I really think that it's a step in the right direction to try to include all types of fans and all types of wrestling. And I just think I'm super excited because it's going to be on Facebook, so it'll be easy to watch. And I'm really excited for it.
So, any fantasy pairing that you would, if you were there, that you would want to be paired up with?
Who's not picked already? Who doesn't have a partner? I don't know. I mean, I was a kid. When I was a little girl when John Cena first became popular and Randy Orton first became popular. So I think it would be cool to be able to, tag with one of them. But I really do love Randy Orton as a wrestler, and I think he's one of the best in the world. He's fantastic, in my opinion. So if I ever got to have a partner, it probably would be Randy Orton.
Awesome. That's a good pick.
Yeah, hopefully that comes true one day. I would love to see that as well. All right, so 2017, we got a good kind of recap on that, and at least the year that you had. We'll probably have one more question on that at the end, but we wanted to look forward to your 2018, and I just wanted to ask you, and I'm sure you have some goals, not that you had, and you've probably checked some off already in your career, but what are some goals that you set for yourself in 2018?
Yeah, I didn't really set many goals this year, just because, people have worked for WWE, and I've done so much already that would be a normal goal for someone. And in the past, I had set I'm going to work 100 matches this year, and I've done that. But I really want to work more internationally this year. I got to kick off the year in the UK, which is really special. But and I have a tour of Stardom planned for later at the end of the year again. So to get back more in the UK and hopefully do some more stuff in Canada and, maybe Mexico, who knows. But definitely just travel more, see the world, and get to wrestle new people.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was the great transition into our next question. Who do you want to wrestle this year, male or female? If there's one person that, by the end of the year, I definitely want to go toe-to-toe with this individual.
Yeah, my go-to is always Toni Storm. I just love her as a person, as a wrestler. I have wrestled her once for Stardom in an SWA title match at Corkin Hall. But if I was to ever wrestle her at Progress or somewhere in the States, that's my dream match, definitely.
Awesome.
I know the Diva-Dirt audience would like that because I believe there was some type of fan voting award or writer award recently, and Toni Storm won that or won a couple accolades. So I know the Diva-Dirt audience would love to see that. And hopefully that happens.
She had a killer 2017, so I hope the best for her this year, too.
I did see a list, and it was created by a man named James Ellsworth, and your name was on that list. Do you have any comments or thoughts on that?
We touched on a bit of intergender earlier, but, for me, that's just something I don't necessarily do, so, that's probably not going to happen for me, but I think it's really cool to take his kind of, Cody did that back with 2016, and I think it's a new take on it, and I think it got a lot of people talking, and since him leaving WWE, that it's going to help him get a lot of bookings and, increase his buzz, and that's exactly what he has to do. So props to him, but probably not something I'm interested in.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's cool, too, when he made that list, he put together probably top of mind what was the best, women's talent out there, and that you were on that list amongst a lot of other women who are doing really great things. So I think that's just a really cool fact that I wanted to point out.
Yeah, absolutely. He put tons of names that, I've wrestled this year and people that I haven't that I want to be able to wrestle, in 2018. So it was a really great list. If he could pick some of those people, and actually wrestle them, that would be great.
So we're going to let you go. We have one more question for you, unless you have anything for us. But we wanted for you, if you could define your past year, 2017, in one word or sentence. So we recently spoke to Chelsea Green, and she used the word crucial. So take a second if you need to, but we wanted to ask you to define your 2017 in one word or sentence that maybe popped to the top of your mind.
I would say maybe dream come true.
Okay.
And if I collaborate a bit, at the beginning of the year, I worked a lot traveling with WWE, and, I got to wrestle on SmackDown in front of 18,000 people. So that in itself is a dream come true. But I got to travel to Japan, which is something I wanted to do since I was little, and wrestle at Corrigan Hall, which is a feat in itself. And I got to wrestle Awesome Kong, and I got to meet Serena Deeb, who's one of my biggest inspirations, and just all the little things that made this year big in my mind really were all dream come true. So I think if I could sum up the entire year, that's exactly what it would be.
I think that sounds great. I mean, we've definitely, seen you all over the place, and we definitely hope for more success in this upcoming, we're now in 2018 already, but for the remaining of the year. And I know Charlie did say that was our last question, but I do have one last question that we tend to ask our guests here at Two Heels in the Face, which is, we all love wrestling, but what we've noticed is that we love wrestling or different aspects of wrestling, or maybe all things in wrestling. What is it that you love about professional wrestling?
I would say, I don't know. I think the whole concept of it is what intrigued me as a kid. My first introduction really to wrestling was Stone Cold Steve Austin hit someone over the head with a chair. And then I got to see the women do it. And I was like, I could totally do that one day if I tried. I could be good at that.
Right.
It's just everything I've tried to do from that. I was 9 then. At that moment on, I've tried to do everything else to one day be a wrestler. And I just think I love wrestling because of stories like that. There's so many men and women that had that moment that I had as a kid, of like, oh God, what is this? Oh, I can do, and I want to do that, and you don't grow out of it. And it's just this constant, this is what I'm meant to do in my life. And the fact that things like that can happen and these dreams can be fulfilled with hard work, I think is what I love the most, because you get to meet people and you get to interact with them and have an impact on so many lives, and we don't even realize it by just doing what we love. And I think the outreach of it and the emotions behind it are really my favorite part.
Great. Deonna, thank you so much. We would like to give you the floor just for you to tell where people can find you on the internet, or for you to plug any upcoming shows, or because I know you're traveling to many, many places, so people could keep up with you. But now's your time, and you have the floor. Yeah,
everyone can follow me. Twitter is probably the best way to interact with me, at Deonna Purrazzo. I do have an Instagram, the same tag, at Deonna Purrazzo. I have a whole bunch of shows coming up. On the 19th of January, I'll be at Limitless Professional Wrestling up in Maine, and then I'll be at Ring of Honor, of course, on the 20th in Nashville, and then the 27th I'll be at CWA in Delaware, and the 28th I will be at WWR up in Worcester, Massachusetts. So those are the places that everyone can be fluent in the Purrazzo this month. But I do want to thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate you so much. Taking the time. Yeah.
Of course. Deonna Purrazzo, living the dream. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck in 2018.
Thanks, guys.